That's you recording now.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Leona. Good afternoon. Welcome the meeting of the Planning Applications Committee. I'm Councillor Annette Ireland. I'm chair of the committee. I would like to welcome elected members here today, and with us also is Mr. Paul O'Neill, who is clerk to the committee, and it's also Mr. O'Neill's last planning committee meeting and local review body meeting today. He's leaving us for very early retirement. I just wanted to say an enormous thank you, Paul, from me, and I'm sure it's shared by the committee, for all your help. You've been a huge help to me over the last couple of years. So thank you very much, and I hope you have a fantastic time in your retirement. Also we have Graham Shankland, who here from planning as well. Paul, do we have any apologies for absence?
Yes, through you, Chair. Councillor Convery has intimated her apologies.
Thank you very much. Do we have any declarations of interest?
Chair, I don't know whether it's appropriate or not, but would it
Yes.
be possible to send a letter of condolence to the family of the former chair of the planning committee, Kenny Hay, whose funeral was yesterday?
Thank you very much. Stuart, we'll make sure we do that. Yes, I think
Thank
that's a very good idea. Thank you. Any declarations of interest? Nope. Okay, thank you. Can I move us on then to agenda item number 3, which is the Director of Environment's report on the applications for planning permission before us today. The first one is application number 2020-0500, 1 Firestone Avenue, Newton Mearns, and it's for the erection of a 2-storey side extension and single-storey rear extension. Can I pass over to yourself, Mr. Shankland?
Yes, thank you, Chair. Yes, the papers are before you. It's the first item in the papers. It's the proposals for a 2-storey side extension and a single-storey rear extension at Firestone Avenue. It is a local development, but there have been 10 objections to the proposal, so it has to come to committee under the scheme of delegation. Really, there's 2 elements to the proposal. There's a 2-storey side extension, although it doesn't include a set down or a set back from the front or the roof of the house. The planning officer has accepted that that would be acceptable in this instance with the layout and the design of the house as it is. The rear extension, however, is over 9 metres long, extending virtually the whole depth of the rear garden. So it's significantly more than the sort of 4-metre guideline that's in the Householder Design Guide. So the application is recommended for refusal of permission because of its excessive length. There is a detached single-storey garage in the back garden, but it is smaller and lower in height. And so it has been recommended for refusal because of the size and extent of the rear extension, and also the impact on the daylight and sunlight of the neighbour. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Can I open it out to the committee, please? If anyone's wishing to come in.
Chair, I'm happy to come in and say,
Yes,
I do think when we're imposing externalities, for want of a better word, negative externalities on neighbours, I think as a committee, we should not be supportive of applications like that. You know, overshadowing, removing people's light.
Yeah.
I don't think that's fair or equitable.
Thank you very much. Councillor McLean?
Yeah, I quite agree with that. Just looking at some of the things that have been pointed out, is dominant effect, double the size of existing house, larger in height, length and mass, much greater impact. I think all these things I would be in agreement with what Councillor Swift has said.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Cunningham as well. Are you wishing to come in?
No.
Okay, thank you. No, I mean, I'm in complete agreement as well. It's 9 metres long and it is absolutely dominant and would have an effect on the adjoining neighbours. Councillor Fletcher?
Yeah, just an agreement. I mean, reading through it, it looks massive. And I think the only reason it's with us today is because the number of objections from neighbours, which is pretty unusual to get 10 for an extension, because ordinarily, I'm assuming the planning officer would have rejected planning and it would have come before us under the local review board. You know, that, as I say, slightly surprised to see it in the planning committee, but it's purely because, I guess, the upset with the neighbours. But it just looks excessive to me. I mean, if you're doubling the size of the property and not leaving very much garden, I mean, I would support the planners in this. I'm not supportive of planning being given.
Thank you very much. Councillor Miller?
Thank you, Chair. I actually quite agree with all of the previous speakers, because I remember at the time when the house was built, and okay, it's gone back a bit, but to have an extension such as this, it would be completely out of character with the rest of the streetscape.
No, it completely is. I'm going to move, if that's okay with the rest of the committee, that we accept the recommendation on page 9 to refuse, if I have a seconder.
I'll second it.
Thank you very much, Councillor McLean. Unless anyone is otherwise minded. Okay, that application is refused. Thank you very much. That moves us on to the next application, which is 2020-0550 Hazelden Riding School, Hazelden Road, Newton Mearns. That is for erection of 17 flatted units contained within 4 number of villas, following demolition of existing equestrian centre and stables, with formation of driveway to Hazelden House. If I could pass over to yourself, Graham, please.
Yes, thank you, Chair. The papers here start on page 14 of your papers. As stated, this is a 17 flatted development at the Hazelden Riding School. It is a local development again, but it's coming to committee because there have been 45 representations consisting of 40 objections and 5 letters of support. The site is located in the Greenbelt, albeit that there is a small residential grouping in this area. The report explains that because of the residential grouping, the council wouldn't be opposed to the principle of some residential development here, but it's considered that the current proposal, which involves 17 flats, is out of scale and out of character with the sort of low-rise detached properties in the surrounds. So it's recommended that the application is refused permission for the reasons set out on page 25 and 26 of the papers. Since this report was written, we have received an additional plan from the applicants showing where the adopted roads and footpaths will be. So I'm happy that the reason for refusal number 4.
Sorry, apologies.
That's not my end.
Apologies.
That's okay. I'm happy that reason for refusal number 4, which was about roads considerations, I'm happy that that is removed from as a reason for refusal. If you were minded to grant the application, I think that the roads matters could be covered by appropriate conditions. But the other 3 reasons for refusal still stand. So it's recommended for refusal as the development is sort of suburban in character and out of scale with this rural greenbelt countryside area. I should maybe add, just if the committee were minded to grant the application, I would like to come back in for a further discussion about a potential legal agreement and conditions that might be added. But the recommendation is for refusal, Chair. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Graham, did you say that you had the plans, that the new plans available to share if the committee wanted to see them? Or was it just to give us note that the last condition was taken off?
Graham,
Hello?
you're muted.
Graham?
Sorry. Yes, I've got an additional plan I could show you if you like, showing the adopted roads and footpaths within the development. If you'd like. I've also got a layout plan showing the layout of the site and elevations of the buildings. I should have added in that the 4 blocks of flat are largely 2-storey, but there are an element that is 3-storey, and the roof pitches are very shallow. So the 3-storey elements and indeed the 2-storey elements at the back of all the blocks really look like they're 2-storey flat roofed or 3-storey flat roofed, and that's part of the reason why we think it's out of character with the area. Again, I can show you an elevation or two if you want that. Just let me know what you would like to see.
Is the committee wishing, is it you fine with seeing the new plan that's came in showing the roads, and if Graham's got some plans available for us? Graham, if you got
see that, yeah, please.
Yes, okay. Graham, if you can manage to, if you could share that, please.
Yep, I'll just try and get that up just now for you.
I'll wait till you've got that up before we put it out.
Just get the right one, hold on.
Is this a new application that's showing up?
No, just a plan.
Okay.
Now, is that a plan showing roads in pink?
Yes.
And
Yeah.
yes, just checking you're seeing the right thing. Yes, this is the application site with the red dotted line. There's 4 new blocks of flats plus an existing house that's there, and the adopted road is shown in the bright pink coming into the site with a footpath, which are the red areas around the periphery of the roads. So that's what came in since the report was written, and I think that answers most of the points in terms of the road service concerns, although we would like to add some conditions if the committee were minded to grant.
Okay, thank you very much. Can I open it out to the committee if any of the members wish to comment? Councillor Miller?
Thank you, Chair. I had a couple of things noted down, and basically it was, one of them was roads. I'm not really that happy about the road, because as it comes out onto Hazeldean Road, it's only a one-track road there, a single-track road there as well. So it's still not, to me, it's still not a safe road to come out there for such as an extra 17 householders from 17 properties, which could possibly have 2 cars apiece, which is an extra 34 cars. Yeah, I understand. I heard you saying it was a greenfield site or a green belt, but really it's a brownfield site as well, because and I'm delighted to build brownfield sites. I don't have a problem with that, but it's also a social amenity site as far as the riding stables are concerned. I have to agree. I don't have a problem with building on with the site being developed. But if you read the papers, the planning officer said they don't have a problem with 5 houses. Personally, when you look at the houses round about, they're all quite big houses, very beautiful houses, all different. So I personally suppose it was 7 or 8 houses. I don't think I've a problem. But to have 4 blocks with 17 flats in them, to me is a complete overdevelopment. There is no public transport, and as far as I'm aware, it's not a private sewer system that's up there, and all that would need to be built in as well.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you. Councillor Swift, and then Provost, please.
Thank you very much. I'll just try and take my hand down. Hold on. Sorry. Well, do you know, as everyone here does know, I opposed Maidenhill. I kind of saw that as an externally imposed overdevelopment. opposed overdevelopment on our parks, which, you know, they are our lungs. And I'm reluctant to see development on that side of the GSO as well, so close to people's homes. This proposed development of 4 buildings and 17 flats is in my ward, and I always oppose overdevelopment here. However, I remember my daughter learned to ride there as a wee girl, and I guess I have a fondness for the place and would love to have seen it retained as a riding school. However, we are where we are, and that seems impossible. And I'm genuinely sad to see things changing. So I also have to accept some unwelcome facts. This is a brownfield site. There will be no overlooking, according to the report, no overshadowing. It's only 2 floors, save one with a basement. Trees will be protected, as will the right of way. The proposed development has been reduced from 24 to 17. And if we look at the site that was up earlier, it doesn't look densely packed with flats. We've kind of, I don't think that the neighbours will be adversely affected by this, but I guess if there are 45 letters and 40 of them are in objections, perhaps they may feel that they will be. We've supported other developments for far more densely built flats, like the one at Eastwood Toll at the last meeting. And perhaps a better comparison is the old dye works. And if anybody can remember the old dye works, that was not that long ago. It was a brownfield site on notionally greenbelt land on the wrong side of the motorway. So lots of reasons to oppose it, and if we're being consistent, should have been refused, but wasn't. Even I eventually supported it because of the logic and consistency of that. And I think I've robustly defended our green spaces, and this isn't one of them. I've opposed unreasonable developments and overdevelopment, but despite what the report says, I actually don't think this is. I dislike intensely that Holyrood imposes building targets upon us and that they demand that we build where we don't want to. I would rather the status quo was maintained. Because, I mean, if you look back, anyway, but we live in the real world, and this seems to me to be a decent proposal. It's much less dense than some that we have supported. Overall, much of the lower mass, overall, we've got a much lower mass in this than many of the others, and no notable bodies oppose it. So despite my desire to support the planners and refuse, actually, I don't find any grounds to refuse.
Okay, no, thank you very much, Councillor Swift. Provost, you wishing to come in, and then Councillor McLean.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah. Reading the report carefully, I do support the planners in the sense I think this is clearly a brownfield site, and I think it does lend itself to development. So, and for much the same reason that Councillor Swift alluded to the old dye works, so nothing's quite the same, but I mean it was an example of something which was an eyesore, fallen to bits, been vandalised, kids on it and all the rest of it, and I think there was a consensus in the council that it was probably the right thing to do to develop it. This particular site, I guess, you know, wouldn't be that well used as an equestrian centre. I'm guessing it would be very minority sport type thing, but clearly they want to pull out, and I think as the planners have outlined, I think it is suitable for development. So I don't really have a particular problem with development at that locale, but I have to say I would go with the planners in terms of their comments. I mean, I don't claim to be an expert in planning, but clearly they are uncomfortable with the density and the type of housing that's proposed. And I think it's a bit disappointing that the developer didn't take the advice that was given from the planners and try to build something which would be much more sympathetic to the surrounding area. I guess it would generate as much money for the applicant, which is why they chose not to do it. They're chancing their arm, they're building some flats. But whilst I'm happy enough to see the site developed, as I accept brownfield, I think I would prefer something there which was much more akin to the local area. And in this instance, I would actually support the planners in refusing planning permission.
Thank you very much, Provost. Councillor McLean.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I think I would have to agree with the Provost there. It's I agree it's a brownfield site and everything else. But you know, as Councillor Miller alluded to, it would be better if it was kind of 7 or 8 houses rather than blocks of flats, really. I get all the arguments about the dye works at the old Coates Place and stuff like that, but as Provost said, it was an ISO. I think I'd be tended to kind of support the planners in this one.
Thank you very much, Councillor McCain. Councillor Cunningham, are you wishing to come in?
Well, I am, well, not really, but I feel like I think if I did a look at it as well, I think I was the same opinion as Provost and Councillor Miller.
Thank you very much, Councillor. Sorry.
Right.
Thank you very much, Councillor Cunningham. I'm in agreement with the planners on this one. I think the fact, and they do accept that it is, they do say that it is a brownfield site, but they do go on to say the proposed dense platted development does not complement, enhance or protect the green belt or the character of the area, and that's what I'm really concerned about. Unless anyone else is willing to come in, wish to move that we accept the planner's recommendation on page 25 to refuse. If I have a second.
Did you get done and turn off the heating?
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry, was that Provost? Thank you.
Yeah.
Unless anyone is otherwise minded. Okay.
Chair, would that be a
Graham,
refusal? Sorry, that would be refusal on the basis of the first 3 reasons for refusal. We
Yes.
can leave the 4th reason for refusal as my recommendation in terms of the roads issues.
Yeah, and thank you
That'd
very
be
much for
correct.
sharing. Thank you very much for sharing that plan. Thank you. Thanks, Graham. Unless anyone's otherwise minded, and I don't think anyone was. Thank you very much. And that application is refused. That moves us on to our last application in front of us today, which is application number 2020-0597. This is change of use of land. It's adjacent east of Williamwood High School, Eaglesham Road, Clarkston. And that is change of use, as I said, for outdoor pre and after school education classes, formation of parking spaces and siting of 2 porta cabins. It does say amended parking layout on there. So I take it that those plans are. Do you have those plans available, Graham, just before I turn to yourself?
Yes, I do, Chair. Yes.
Okay,
I'll bring those up. I can bring those up just now if you would like.
Yes, that would be really helpful. Thank you. And then I'll open it out to the committee.
Aye.
Do you have the plan up in front of you?
Yes, we do.
There.
Thank
Yep.
you very much. Can I open this out to the committee if anyone's wishing to come in on this, please?
Will I just introduce it very quickly, Chair?
Oh, sorry, I do apologise, Graham. I've skipped an entire step. I'll pass over to yourself to.
That's okay. Yes.
Thank you.
The proposal is for after school educational classes in this location of Newford Grove. Again, the development's a local development, but there have been 23 objections and 8 letters of support to the proposal, so it has to come to committee. The applicant's lease is coming to an end in the property where they are, and they wish these premises to keep the business going. The premises consists of sort of one main classroom meeting space, if you like, plus a separate toilet block. This is the amended plan that we received after the roads department's road services consultation. So it shows 11 parking spaces and a turning area, which answers some of the concerns by the roads service. The road service had been looking for a direct footpath link into the site. which isn't shown in the proposal. There is a footpath on the opposite side of Newford Grove, but not directly into the site. They haven't been able to achieve that within their current land holding, and they haven't been able to secure additional land to provide that link. However, we're proposing that the application be granted for a temporary period of 3 years, partly because it's porta-cabin type buildings and temporary buildings anyway. So that would give us a chance to revisit that matter when they come to renew their permission, if they do that in future. So it's proposed that the application be granted planning permission, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Graham. Thank you. Can I open it out to the committee, please? Councillor Miller.
Thanks very much, Chair. As you well know, actually, I opposed the Cartmel site where it was, mainly because of traffic. And this is going to exacerbate that problem. The traffic problems in Cartmel are, well, basically there's more traffic coming down Newford Grove now than ever the road was designed for. There's 6 policemen there, they're bouncing about. Now this, I feel sorry for the Clarkson after school service, because they're getting chucked out of the present, they've been asked to leave their present home in Greenbank Church because, well, that development's come up yet. And they're really looking forward, and it is a great service locally, but I think this is the wrong place because it's right next to the biggest river in the area in East Renfrewshire, and also the traffic problems. I really don't think this is the right place at all. I would certainly vote to refuse it.
Thank you very much, Councillor Miller. Provost, you wishing to come in?
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, I wanted just to kind of clarify the road's position on this, just in my own mind, because initially when I read through the papers, it didn't look as if they were expressing an opinion one way or the other, and I think maybe that prompted your own, email or whatever to them, Chair, and they've subsequently come back with comments on hard standings, additional parking, and turning circles and such like in the path into the area. So I want to just clarify firstly from planning officers, there are roads people on side with this being granted, because again there does seem to be an amended plan, if I heard you correctly, and notwithstanding it's perhaps not the best place for the path into it. There did seem to be a path on the other side. So I really just want to condense it down. Are the roads happy or are they not happy? Or if we were minded to grant planning permission, do we need to incorporate the points that were brought out there as a condition? I think there was 3 of them, that they needed to create extra parking spaces or turning circles or hard standings or whatever. In terms of where it is, I don't really have too much of an issue. I mean, there's clearly a demand for it. No doubt the people who've written in to support it, I guess, I'm assuming, are people who use the service. And in East Renfrewshire, I know there is clearly a demand for this sort of aftercare in school. So it's got to go somewhere. I would think it's probably as good a place as any. I mean, you will always get objections to wherever you put it. And I having had the discussion, if you like, with these containers at the one last month in Newton Mearns, I don't think they're as unsightly as people perhaps make out. And, given that this is a request for temporary planning, I would be minded to support it for the 3 years just to see how it runs, given that it's obviously got to come back and see if it's still required in 3 years or if there are issues. But again, it would be subject to the roads. I certainly wouldn't be happy about recommending planning permission for it if there was serious roads objections to it. So subject to what you can say and clarify the road's position, I think I would probably be minded to grant, to be honest.
Thank you very much. Graham, are
Well,
you wishing to come in with that? Yes.
Yes. The roads department, the road service weren't opposed in principle to the development, but did make some comments or conditions. A couple of those have been addressed with this latest plan, i.e. the increase up to 11 parking spaces and the turning area. So those matters have been addressed satisfactorily. The one matter that hasn't been resolved satisfactorily was the comment they made about their preference or they're asking for a condition to be asked to provide a continuous surface pedestrian path from Newford Grove directly into the site. That hasn't been possible to provide within the current layout and the current site boundaries. Do you have the plan in front? Is the plan showing in front of you with the red line around the site and a black dotted line?
Yes.
The road services preference would have been for a footpath to link coming out sort of the left-hand side of the site and linking directly into the footpath where there's a raised crossing. But that isn't within the application site, so the applicant hasn't been able to provide that. And because it's out with the application site and out with their ownership and control, we can't condition that. There is a footpath on the other side of Newford Grove, so there is a footpath to immediately opposite the site, and then a sort of paving area once you cross over, coming into the site and linking into the building. So I think in summary, the roads department's concerns there have not been fully addressed, but that's one of the reasons why we were proposing a temporary permission so that could be revisited again in future if the opportunity arises.
Okay, I understand. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Graham. Councillor Miller?
Just to, if the committee were minded to grant, there is a path or an access to the fields. I take it that access would still be open?
There is the access through the site and beyond the site does remain open. Yes, I'll swap. No, about to say swap plans to there's this. I think this plan here shows the whole site. The whole application site is that which is outlined in red, and there is the road which continues through the site. I think the proposal is for a gate there, simply to prevent the users of the complex from going round and parking in there, but it would remain open to those who need to access along that road, if that's the road that you're talking about.
Yeah, it's the old Suze. It used to be the old Suze works along there many years ago, and it's to give access to the fields that's there. Thank you.
Yes, well that would remain open.
Right, that's fine, thanks.
Thank you very much. Councillor McLean?
Yeah, just looking at the plan, I would be concerned about people coming out and trying to go up Newford Grove and getting across to the pavement on the opposite side of the road, with cars coming out and coming out without no pavement up to where the crossing bit seems to be in Newford Grove. I know if there was a pavement up to the left-hand side going up Newford Grove to the crossing, it would be a lot better. But coming out of there and then having to cross that road because there's no pavement on the left-hand side. You know, cars coming in and out there as a road, there's going to be other cars on it. I'd be a bit concerned about that, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much, Councillor McLean. Councillor Cunningham, are you wishing to come in?
No, Chair, I've missed a wee bit of it just now. Right.
Okay, thanks. Thank you very much. I didn't see you there, Councillor Smith. Sorry, I had the way I had my screen. Councillor Smith.
Thank you, Chair. I'm minded to agree with Councillor Miller and what Councillor McLean has said. I'm not sure that this is a brilliant site. It's a green space. even if we make it a temporary site, you're going to put in all that hard standing, you're going to put in parking spaces. All of that is not very temporary, and we lose green space for local kids to play on. You're increasing the traffic on Newford Grove. That already people are complaining about traffic. So I'm with Councillor Miller. I would tend to want to not support.
Thank you very much, Councillor Swift. Yes,
Okay,
Can
Can I make one more comment? I mean, for the best will in the world, you know, if we look around, there are lots of units that could potentially be used in this capacity locally, because, you know, retail has not had a boom time over the last 12 months, let's be honest, as one example of an area where there is the possible, they may find it more easy to access facilities, alternative facilities.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Councillor Swift. I'm really sympathetic to Clarkston myself. Speaking personally, I'm sympathetic to Clarkston, the out school care. And these outdoor nurseries can be absolutely fantastic facilities. I have real concerns about the road. I know that that's been spoken about by the other members of the committee. And I know that I've spoken to roads several occasions, and I'm sure, Councillor Miller, you've probably done this as well, about double yellows, possibly at this location, because it can be quite a bad bend when people park on it. I'm concerned with some of the comments on the roads that they say that they had previously objected, because that they were very worried that there was a lack of car parking associated with the proposed development, which was likely to lead to indiscriminate parking on Newford Grove, which would have posed a risk to road safety. Now, I understand there's more parking spaces here, and there is still the turning circle that's been created. So they have looked to address some of those points, but I still really feel that there would still be indiscriminate parking on the roadway, and it is going to pose a risk to safety. The fact there's no footpath, that really concerns me. People will be walking on the road there as cars are coming down round the bend. So I'm in agreement with the other members. I see that Councillor Miller's wanting to come in.
Thank you, Chair. I'm just going to confirm what you've said. As you and I both know, when we attended Busby Community Council, they have been trying to get a double yellow line at the opposite side from Willingwood School ever since, well, certainly as long as you've been on the council, and possibly longer. In fact, Councillor Carmichael and I tried to do that when they're doing the Busby and Clarkston parking review. So that was 2013, I think, 8 years ago. And listening to the other councillors on the committee, you know, we're talking about parking there. I have an awful sneaking feeling that folk won't actually use any parking space. The staff might use the parking spaces there, but they'll go across the road and use the parking spaces in the Carmel Nursery, and that'll fill up there as well. So it's got a double whammy going against it.
Yeah. No, I completely and utterly share your concerns. I would like to move that we refuse this application. And the grounds that I would be suggesting is, and I will double check this with Graham, but it's policy D1, and it's the car parking provision that is there. I'm deeply concerned that there is not enough, and that people will be parking on that road, and there's no footway. That's just too unsafe. So
do you have a second there, Chair?
That's what I was just about to ask, Paul. Thank you very much. But yes, I would like to move that and see if I have a second. Councillor Miller, thank you very much. Unless anyone is otherwise minded.
I think we've got an extra member of the committee.
We do. Hello. Welcome to the committee.
One of my babies.
Thank you very much. That application is refused, and that is all the. She's gorgeous, Paul.
Is Paul on the next committee?
No.
Sorry.
Oh, yeah, LRD, yes.
Can I say farewell to you, sir? Enjoy your retirement. I hope you have many happy days on the golf course, and thank you for not least your charm and sense of humour, which is
Thanks. It's understandable, Councillor Swift.
Are we talking to the same person here?
We are.